Final Fantasy, the JRPG series known throughout almost the entire world, each title raising the bar over and over again, offering an intricate and compelling story, characters to love and hate, and a complete a gaming experience to remember. Enter Final Fantasy 15. But just real quick guys, though this is a brief review / tips and tricks video for the game, I know and am fully aware that this game has been out for a while now, hence the late to the party, and it has gotten a bunch of updates, patches, and DLC. So I will be covering the game as it stands in 2019. So, if you are new to this game, I will be keeping this as spoiler-free as possible. But I'm not just here to give you a quick review and some helpful tips. I mean, yeah, sure, I am, but, whatever. Okay, I am. But if you're a busy person, because who isn't nowadays, and you haven't had a chance to play this game, and you're wondering if you should even bother buying this game in the first place, then I'm here to help. Welcome to Late to the Party.
You already said that!
Hey, nobody asked you! Piss off! And also, keep in mind guys, that the opinion portion of this video will obviously be my opinion, so take that how you will, and hopefully you find this video useful. So Final Fantasy 15 came out on November 29th, 2016, and again on March 6th, 2018, and again on March 6th, 2000. Okay, so the same time. And they were essentially the same game more or less, but for different platforms. Whatever. And I'm not even gonna bother with the Pocket Edition. So anyways, the game came out almost 3 years ago. Since then, many updates, patches, and DLC have followed suit. And considering that I didn't pick up this game until late 2018, because I'm a busy parent, so buying a game well after the launch and the hype has died down is nothing new, I would probably say that my experience was a bit better than those who picked up the game at launch. Yes, there were a few issues when the game launched. One of the biggest issues, which is still talked about to this day, is that the game was incomplete. More on that later. The game was highly anticipated, first making its public appearance as Final Fantasy Versus 13 back in 2006. As time passed, a whole 10 years, the game evolved, and eventually Final Fantasy 15 emerged. Now, there's a whole history on the development of this game, but I won't be getting into the details since there are already so many other videos out there that would do a much better and a more thorough job than me. So look those up, because I'm not here to give you a history lesson on the game or the series. I'm just here to tell you whether or not you should play the game. So, is it good? Listen, I know that I haven't really given this game a glowing review so far, but I'm here to tell you that the game is good. Now, I already know that there's probably going to be a ton of people tripping over themselves to hurry and disagree with me in the comment section. And that's fine. In fact, that's great, because I want to hear in the comment section why you didn't like the game. Come on, it's the internet. And I don't care what anyone says, we are allowed to have our own opinions. But I also know that there are just some people out there that just can't deal with the idea of someone else liking something that they don't. And they will go out of their way to piss on everyone else's parade. Because you just can't let anyone enjoy something. Can you, Karen?
I heard that game sucked.
You know what? Fine. Maybe it wasn't a Final Fantasy X. Or a 7. But at least it wasn't 13. But you know what? I liked that one too!
So anyways, yes, the game is good, especially now, here in 2019. So how long is the game? For us busy people, you're probably wondering how long it will take to beat this mammoth of a game. Short answer? Not very. Less than 30 hours actually, at least if you stick to the main story here. But it's a Final Fantasy game, I hear you say. I was a bit surprised myself, but there is a ton of side content, and loads more unlock after you beat the main game, so don't worry about not having enough content, because it's there. I mean, I've been playing for a while now, taking my sweet time, going on extra hunts, exploring the optional dungeons. There's plenty of stuff to do. And in case you are part of the uninitiated, no, you do not need to play any other Final Fantasy game to get into Final Fantasy XV. Each Final Fantasy is its own standalone game, unless they share a number, like Final Fantasy X and X-2, or Final Fantasy XIII and XIII-2, and so on. So is it worth it? So the next question on the minds of us responsible people with the not so vast income is probably, is the game worth it? Yes, it is totally worth it. As of the time of recording this, the game was priced at about $20 on Amazon, or $30 for the Royal Edition, which I would recommend, since it comes with all of the DLC, as well as some other bonus content, such as additional weapons, clothes, and certain in-game discounts, as well as some additional content that expanded the world with some additional side quests. It comes with everything. Everything except Episode Arden, which just came out and is about $10 on the PlayStation Store right now. You could find the game for even cheaper, since the PlayStation Store will put it on sale periodically, and I have found the Royal Edition for both PS4 and Xbox One for about $20 at my local Walmart. Now for the gameplay. So the game throws you in pretty quick. You watch a quick flashback, stop, drop, and roll, admire some graphics, and there you go. You're playing the game. It doesn't give you much time to really know what's going on. Now seems like a good time to add in the fact that before you play this game, I highly recommend you watch two things. The first being Kingsglaive, a CG movie that is the prequel to the game. Yeah, it's kind of important. And the second being Brotherhood, a short anime series that gives some quick background on how Prince Noctis, the main character you'll be playing as, began his friendship with the bros, Ignis, Prompto, and Gladio. Seriously, do yourself a favor and just watch these. You'll save yourself a lot of confusion later on. The movie is like $13 to buy on Amazon, and last time I checked, free on Crackle, so there you go. While Brotherhood is free on YouTube. Links in the description below. Do you have to watch these before you play the game? No, but I would definitely recommend it. Also, play through the tutorial and read the quick lore. So now that you're playing the game, it's time to explore. And guys, this is a big, gorgeous open world. Just look at all this. The world of Eos can be very time-consuming if you decide to fully explore it. It's a big place, so when you're not driving, and there will be a lot of driving, you'll be running around, exploring, hunting, and picking up, and picking up, and picking up random shit. Now this next thing is kind of important, so pay attention. Are you ready? Infinite sprinting. To do this, go into your options menu and select stamina to turn it on. A stamina, or ST bar, will now show up over Noctis. press and hold the sprint button, and you'll see the bar start to go down while knocked to sprints. Now, just before the bar runs out, tap the sprint button again, and the bar will refill, letting you essentially sprint indefinitely. This may take some practice, but it's pretty easy once you figure it out. And there you go. You're welcome. Another thing to note is during combat. If you see the block button prompt, hold it. Don't tap the button, hold the button. The same goes for point warping and summoning. In fact, you could probably just hold all the buttons and it would probably play itself. But what's the fun in that? And since this is a Final Fantasy game, you may be wondering where the turn-based combat is. Well, it's not here. But if you're a fan of turn-based, or just need a minute to strategize, then wait mode will be your friend. Turn that on. And speaking of strategizing, each of your bros can perform a technique during combat. These techniques are great for dealing damage, and you are also invulnerable while the technique plays out, so keep that in mind when you're fighting a tough battle. And as you play, you will gain XP as well as a little something called AP. AP is used to unlock different abilities in the Ascension grid, and it is here that you will be able to unlock even more techniques. Another thing worth noting, in one of the many updates, we were given the ability to change the character we play as during combat. But you need to unlock each one in the Ascension grid. That's right, if you want to wail on an enemy as Gladio, you can. If you want to shoot an enemy as Prompto, you can. And if you want to magic stab the crap out of an enemy as Ignis, you can. Now, I'm not going to sit here and tell you which bro is the best boy. That's not my call. That's not my call. I'll let you discover that on your own. But seriously, make sure to check out the Ascension grid to maximize your experience. Now, just like any other Final Fantasy game, there is magic. But Final Fantasy XV does things a little differently. Not only do you have to craft your own magic in order to use it, but magic friendly fire is now a thing. So watch out! Unless you're just a heartless bastard, then fire away. But it is kind of funny sometimes. Another important thing to know is how to level up. Throughout the game, you will continually collect XP, but you will not, I repeat, not level up until you have gone to sleep. Now, you can do this by either camping or by spending your money and staying in a caravan or a hotel. And it's worth noting that if you camp, Master Chef Iggy will cook up a meal that will give you and the Chocobros various buffs depending on the meal chosen. But staying in a caravan or hotels will give you varying XP bonuses. A good rule of thumb is the nicer the digs, the more of a bonus you'll get. So you better save up that gil because that crap ain't cheap. And don't worry, Iggy isn't the only way to get your grub on, as there are numerous outposts and diners littered all across Eos to grab a quick snack. And depending on the quest, food buffs can make the difference between a successful hunt or a game over. And speaking of buffs, make sure to periodically upgrade your party members' equipment as you progress. And stock up on plenty of potions, elixirs, and Phoenix Downs. But seriously though, Prompto has the lowest HP of the group, so expect to heal and revive his ass a lot. Just saying. And though a majority of the game does take place in the open world, there are some indoor sections that become a bit more linear. Though the ones you're going to want to worry about, i.e. the points of no return, are later in the game. But don't worry, as you get closer to that point, the game will warn you, and you will eventually be able to return. Pretty much, when you start hearing mentions of departing from Cape Kime, that's when the game will give you the heads up. And remember when I mentioned how the story felt incomplete? Yeah, well, besides the movie and the anime containing some of the ever-important plot points to the story, other things happen during the game that aren't immediately shared with the player. To put it simply, Noctis's bros, Prompto, Ignis, and Gladio each end up experience a specific event. An episode, if you will. But what's that I hear you say? You want to know what happened to Gladio? Oh, well just buy this DLC. You want to know what happened to Ignis? Buy this DLC. You want to know what happened to Prompto too? Buy this DLC.
You already got my money and my soul, Square!
What more do you want? Or just look them up on YouTube. I don't care. I'm not your mom. So a few quick things to note are: don't sell the engine blade. Prompto will take pictures throughout your journey. Take the time to look through them and save the ones you like. Yep, that's a keeper. Summons are super cool. But also super rando. Be on the lookout for product placement and Gladio's borderline addiction for
the ultimate flavor experience.
There are no puzzles in this game. At least, none that are required to progress the story. I'm looking at you, Final Fantasy X. The worst you'll have to deal with are a few maze-like dungeons, but the worst ones are saved for after the main game has been completed. You can save your game at almost any time in the open world. This is super useful for someone like me if you have a toddler who is constantly bothering you for a snack, or a drink, or for you to play with them because you've been ignoring them all afternoon. Small children are so needy. That's a joke, calm down. But seriously, you can save at nearly any point throughout the open portion of the game. No save points or anything. There's also autosave, which has saved my butt a few times while dungeon crawling, i.e. the main times you can't save. And since there have been a lot of updates since release, I won't go over all of them, but some of the notable ones that I haven't already mentioned here include the Regalia Type D, additional cutscenes and story, and the addition of crossover events and quests. Oh, and one last thing. Are you a sucker for incredible game music? Then let me introduce you to the composer to Final Fantasy XV, Yoko Shimomura. Now, if that name sounds familiar to you, that's probably because she's also the main composer for another amazing Square-Enix title that also happens to have an amazing soundtrack. You may have heard of it, just a little series called Kingdom Hearts. Just YouTube the soundtrack to this game. You will not be disappointed. Oh, and Florence and the Machine do a cover of Stand By Me. It's good. Go check it out. So since this was a lot longer than I intended it to be, to recap, is it good? Yes. How long is it? Sticking to the main story will take you 20 to 30 hours to beat, depending on your playstyle. Is it worth it? Yes, especially now in 2019. So there you go. I hope you found this video helpful, and that you decided to give this game a try. It may have had a bumpy start, but time and patches heal all wounds. Story-wise, it may not be the best Final Fantasy, but the story is still very good. And you can't help but fall in love with the four main characters. The camaraderie and friendship these characters share is really a wonderful experience, and it really feels like you're a part of it. There is so much more to this game, and I've barely scratched the surface. So if you think I missed anything or made a mistake, let me know, or be sure to note it down in the comments below. I'm always open to questions and suggestions, so be sure to send them my way. I'd love to hear from you guys. And if you enjoyed this video, why not give it a like and subscribe while you're at it? Until next time, toodles!